Your man can't afford to live by himself, and I'm paying half of his living expenses by paying the rent and paying half of the utility bills. So you can't get rid of me. Hi, and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jada Brown, and if this is your first time seeing this lovely face, make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. I'm Jada Brown, and today I'm going to teach you about real estate. The Worst Roommate Ever is a documentary that was created by Netflix. I'm sure that we all have Netflix accounts, and if you don't, borrow your friends and watch this show. Because if you are in the real estate or property management industry, you're probably going to cringe while you're watching it, but you're going to learn some very valuable insight going forward on roommate situations. Let's talk about advertising. We live in a very digital world. You can connect with a potential roommate so fast on the internet like that, and they'll probably answer your ad like that. And next thing you know, one day later, you have someone that you don't even know living with you. Let's stop that right now, okay? Yes, it's very easy to connect with potential roommates online. You can post on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, apartments.com, Zillow, Instagram. I mean, you can post any and everywhere. You can broadcast it on thousands of websites and you'll get answers and people. That's great. We love digital technology, okay? Especially in the real estate industry. But you also have to be careful, because even though you're able to put your space on many different digital platforms all at once, it can be very dangerous. So, one way to combat this is, number one, do not list your address online. Don't list your address online. You can describe the type of unit. You can take pictures of it. You can say it's near this street, or it's near this intersection, or it's very close to the highway, it's near Walmart, whatever. But to protect yourself, especially if you are not living in a big building where there's hundreds of other tenants, be careful. Don't put your picture online. Don't post your dog and all that stuff. No, use the description and highlight the area without exposing your address, because you don't know who is actually looking at this. You don't know if there's stalkers out there. Don't list your address. I already highlighted this. Don't put your picture. Don't put picture of your children, of your spouse, of your pets, of your grandma, of your friends, whatever. Don't put personal pictures. Next, when you have someone that shows interest in being your roommate and they want to meet you, remember that you've never met them before. They're a complete stranger. Meet them in a public space like Starbucks, where you can get a feel for their personality. And when you feel comfortable enough to allow them to tour your home, make sure that there's someone there with you that you trust, and you meet them there during daylight. I have a video all about tour safety that I'm going to link right here. Make sure that you check that video out, and you have your rake whistle. Make sure that you're touring in the daylight hours and that you collect an ID from them. Watch that video. Remember, you do not know them, okay? Once you have met with that prospective resident, you kind of feel their vibe, they feel yours, and you both conjointly decide that you want to move forward. That is when you give them that application and you let them know, before we can move any further, please fill out this application, and after the background check and everything comes back good, we'll talk about the next steps. So yes, we live in a digital world. that is amazing, but make sure that you're practicing safety when interacting with strangers online, okay? Cool. A common thread of the worst roommate ever was the need for a roommate. So a lot of the people who were featured, their stories were featured in the worst roommate ever, desperately needed a roommate for whatever reason. Usually it was financial. So I'm not advocating against not having a roommate. Roommates are essential, especially in a high cost area where you may not be able to afford the rent yourself, or if you want to save money on these, very luxurious places, you would get a roommate because it helps you save money to afford other, luxuries of life. So totally not against having a roommate. But what I noticed is that the people on these episodes whose stories were featured were so desperate to have a roommate to help alleviate some financial concerns that they literally would just be like, okay, you have the money, you want to move in? Okay, you can move in, without properly screening these potential roommates. So the importance of screening is paramount. Screening a potential applicant is just proving that they are who they say they are. So for instance, if I have an applicant who wants to move into my building, I have to verify them with an application. So they're filling out their basic information, their name, their birthday, their social security number. They're also indicating their employment history, their income, where this income is coming from, and also their rental history. Once that application is turned in to me, then I have to use whatever resource I have to prove that this information is factual. So for many of you, you work in a leasing office. You can take that information, enter it into your database, screen them, and have an answer within an hour. Or if you only have one property or just a few, you can find out this information on your own. Or if you are the roommate that is accepting this application, you can call their employer and ask if they are actively working there and how much their income is. You can check with their previous landlord, because if they were a bad tenant for that last landlord, chances are they'll be a bad tenant for you as well. So it is of uber importance to ensure that you're verifying the information that they have given to you. Maybe 3 of the women on that show were like, did I do any screening of him? No, I didn't. He came here. He had the money. I needed a roommate because I was in jeopardy of losing my apartment. And he seemed like a nice guy because he said he was a lawyer. And I was like, did they really just say that? So just because I say that I am a doctor and I have the money on hand does not mean that it's true. Because if I had so much money and I was so successful, why do I need a roommate? Not saying that successful people don't need roommates. I'm not saying that at all. But it's just like common sense. But they were so blinded by the fact that they needed the money at that time that they weren't even considering that this person could be a fraud. Also, most times when people, they have no real estate background or property management background, you want to see the good in people, and you're like, oh, they said that they're this, they said that they're that. Okay, I believe them. Nah, we know better. That's not enough for me. I have to prove that you are who you say you are, because that saves me. What happened to two of the ladies on that show was that they moved in a serial squatter who never even filled out the application. They moved in without actually screening them, and they kept saying, okay, I'll fill out the application later. I fill it out later. They had their mail come to that house after they had already moved in. Now I have to go through the process of legally evicting you, which can take a long time and can be very expensive, especially for someone who already is having financial difficulties because they're looking for a roommate. It takes a long time to navigate the court systems, to obtain a lawyer, to actually sue them, evict them legally. It takes a long time. And people who are serial squatters and do this for a living know the complexities of evicting someone. So they don't want to do the application. So they tell you all the feel goods and the things that will say, okay, they're not a bad person. Yeah, they can move in. They have the money. They get in there, and it takes a long time to get them out. And it becomes a very uncomfortable situation because they're living in your space. They're not paying you, and every time you say something to them, they either brush you off or, like what happened in The Worst Roommate Ever, they get very violent against you or attack you. So, long story short, if you are getting a roommate, you need to verify the information that they're telling you. You have to conduct a background check. You have to conduct a rental reference. You need to ensure that their credit score is up to par. And I really implore you, 100% make sure that you're screening your potential roommate. Most of the time, if you live in a apartment building and you're getting a roommate, speak to your rental office, speak to your on-site management, speak to your management team, and tell them, hey, I'm going to get a roommate. What is the policy? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, here's our application. Here's the fee, the application fee. Fill this in, and we'll have to do like a roommate addendum and add them to the lease. Save your own butt. Save your time. You don't want strangers living with you. Now, this next point is my personal opinion, not professional, okay? Personal opinion. And I'm going to say this, I'm probably going to get some hate by some people, and I don't care. Women and men should not live together. Now, as someone who works in property management, I really don't care who you live with. As long as that person passes the initial screening and they pay their rent on time, I could care less who you live with. But on my personal opinion, people of the opposite sex should not live together. Let me tell you why. Let's say that I'm Jada, and I move in with the guy. Eventually, I'm like, okay, this guy's kind of cute and I like him. And he doesn't feel the same way about me. I'm going to feel some type of way. And then let's say even worse, he gets a girlfriend. I'm going to start looking that chick up and down and be like,
okay, you're really not as cute as I am.
And then maybe I'll start wearing like really short shorts around him when she's around and be like, hey, roommate, do you want something to eat? I cooked for you. And giving him that food. And now my roommate's in a rock and a hard place because he doesn't share the same sentiment that I do. He probably doesn't like me at all. And his girlfriend, worse, is not going to like me. And she can't do anything about it. Because, number one, you can't evict me because I have not violated my lease agreement. Secondly, your man can't afford to live by himself, and I'm paying half of his living expenses by paying the rent and paying half of the utility bills. So you can't get rid of me. Either you have to move out, right, which you can't in the middle of the lease, or you have to just deal with me. So that's why I believe that women and men should not live together. Now, this was proven in The Worst Roommate Ever because there was one episode when there was a very attractive woman that just got out of the military who was in school, got a roommate who was like her best friend until he started liking her. She didn't like him back. this weirdo started doing very like suggestive things to be with her. So for instance, he got plastic surgery so he could look younger and hopefully more attractive to her. He also got like one sleeve of tattoos because she liked tattoos, so now he got permanent tattoos. And when she didn't return his like love back, she told him like, look, this is getting really weird, I need you to move out. This guy killed her. So roommate safety, don't live with the opposite sex. Again, personal opinion. Don't live with the opposite sex. It can get really weird if they begin to like you. It gets real weird real quick, okay? Now, the last note that I want to leave with all of you guys out there, because I love you all and I want you to be safe and knowledgeable, from your property management bestie, evicting is really hard. If no one has told you this, evicting is really hard. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of legal fees, and it takes a very long time. So in order to avoid evictions, remember, roommate safety, screen your potential roommate. Do not be in such a rush to get any and everybody into your apartment that you forget to screen them. You have to verify they are who they say they are, because it will save you a lot of time. Now, I have made a video all about tenant screening criterias. I implore you to watch it, which I'm going to link it like somewhere up here. Click it, watch it, and you'll find out what information that you need to obtain from your potential roommate to show them that you're serious. You know what you're talking about, you understand property management, and they can't trick you. Because trust me, as it's been proven, serial squatters know tenancy laws better than lawyers, okay? Like, they've researched it, they know it, and they can smell desperate people a mile away. So make sure that you watch that video, you arm yourself with the knowledge, you speak with the on-site property management wherever you live, or if you own the home, you make sure that you know the laws as well as they do, so that you're prepared in case a serial squatter tries you and they see that you're serious and you have an application and you are going to actually follow through and do thorough like background checks on them. They will not even try you, and they'll move on to the next sucker, because you are not a sucker. And that is it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, if you learned anything new, if you like my green shirt, then make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to my channel, and you share it, okay? Sharing is caring. So if you like this video, share it with somebody that you know who's looking for a roommate. And with that, I will see you guys in my next video. I hope you enjoyed it.